This is the project area I'm going to be working on today. As you can see, we got a big shop here, and it's got concrete as it comes around the building here, and on this side, large trucks come through here, semis and whatnot. So this gravel has been built up over the years. It's probably at least 12 inches thick underneath that initial base. You've got the concrete lip here that comes off, and you can see it's almost level with the gravel. And if you look back this way, you would find the same thing, that it's pretty much level with the gravel. So the problem statement that we have is that with those big overhead doors that you see, when those are open and it's dusty, hasn't rained for a little while, that dust will blow into the shop, gets everything dirty. It just kind of irritates me. And this is our shop, by the way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this down basically here by this door a little bit farther back to that part of the building. We're going to take all of this down almost to the edge here. We're going to take it down 3 inches with the soil conditioner, and after we do that, we'll come through and we'll scrape that up with a bucket. We'll relocate and repurpose that gravel to somewhere else here in the yard. When I do that, what it allows me to do, it allows me to keep the grade that's already here. This has already been graded, it drains fine. There's no reason for me to create additional work. That soil conditioner will come through and just going down about 3 inches for a level destruction of that current hard gravel. And after I do that, I'll do a pass backwards, I'll do it again, and then once we've loosened all this up, come through with a bucket and easily relocate and respread that. And what you have is, again, a hard sub base, which is basically consistent with the current grade. If I do that for a couple of times, then I'm gonna get this low enough that whenever I bring in the crushed asphalt, I can just lay that, it'll go on top of the current hard base, and it will look good. This kind of shows a little bit of the slope away from the building. You can see that it's angled down. It's going to drain into the parking lot, and then it's going to drain out to that corner over there. Again, I don't want to destroy that. That's one of the reasons that doing this with the soil conditioner first just makes life a lot easier. We're not going to have to create work by regrading. I'm just going to show you this little concrete lip here. Again, you can see that it's pretty much level right now with the gravel. One thing I'd caution you is to say that if you're going to do this in stages like we are today, where we're going to take this gravel out today, but then I won't get the crushed asphalt for a week, maybe 2 weeks, who knows, just whenever I have time. You want to make sure that you leave an area by the concrete so that you have a base, so there's not a big drop off, because you could encourage this to break, especially if you bring in semis or if you're using significantly heavy equipment. So again, leave a little bit of space, maybe to this, even to this shadow. I can leave that for now, and then on the day that I'm bringing the crushed asphalt in, I can go ahead and break that up, scrape it up, and that protects my concrete lip until it comes. This is a view of the other side of our shop. We've already replaced this with the crushed asphalt. So you can see we have the same problem statement that I showed you before. Massive overhead doors. Whenever you open those up, if there's air flowing through, the dust off of the gravel would come through there. Benefit of this crushed or recycled milled asphalt is it's really dustless. Once you get it down, you may have to use a roller, spread out small spots until it sets up a little bit, but eventually it's going to pack just like gravel. And once it does, there's no dust to blow in whenever those doors are open. This was done a few weeks ago. It's dry. There's a few low spots still. Haven't worked it all out. But you can see we did this just for the area where we want to keep the dust down. This is what the other project will look at when it's finished. We're walking out to the front yard here. This is where we have some of our front stock. We've got 14,000 square foot inside, so a lot of our stock's actually kept inside the building. What we're going to look at are these soil conditioners over here. These are the way they come when they ship in. You can see that the wheels are flipped back over the mounting plate here. So when you get these in, this is compact for delivery. When you get these in, cut the straps, flip those over. I will say that there's something in the Jenkins family DNA that prevents them from making anything that's not significantly heavy duty. So when you do flip those over, you want to find a friend. If you don't have any friends, you want to make a friend, because it is heavy. Some of the features on this, you can see the wing here. That wing is removable by pulling those pins. You can put that on the front or back, or you can remove it. When you're running this soil conditioner, typically it's going to be You're driving this way. If you're soil conditioning forward, you're going to spin that wheel against the motion of your tracks or your wheels so that it's working against you, not pulling you forward. When you do that, it's going to rotate, and as it rotates, it will take smaller material over. It'll deposit that down nice and fluffy. It will take larger material like rocks and debris. It'll kick it forward just like a Harley rake does. This is my Jenkins Soil Conditioner. It's a 7-foot soil conditioner. I bought it about 2 years ago. This was the first piece of equipment that I bought from Jenkins, and it was before we were a dealer for them. Absolutely fell in love with this thing. I've made a lot of money with it and used it. It's been used well. It's going to look a little different than the one that we showed you, the new unit. Namely, I have pinned right here. There's a hole there that you can pin the attachment so that it won't rake left and right. It won't angle. I do that because for a lot of the jobs that I do, I'm not really interested in angling left or right. It's simpler for me just to keep it straight. And the job that we're doing today, you'll see that that's going to work just fine. The other thing is I have removed the wings on the side. That's because I don't want to accumulate rows of material. It's easier for me whenever I'm doing this kind of work and breaking up stuff, just to keep that open so that it can flow to the side and it doesn't make as big of corn rows on the side, because I'm not trying to take material to the end. You can see that this thing's held up pretty well. Let me show you the drum. Hopefully you can see that. So people many times say that they don't like that the teeth are welded. They're concerned about that. They want replaceable teeth. I'll be honest. We've put this through a lot. We haven't had to replace any teeth, but I have no real concern about welding on another tooth if I had to. It's been very, very durable. Okay, so we've wet down this area here. Take a quick look. We wet this down just to keep the dust down a little bit. Certainly don't have to do that, just to keep the machine a little cleaner. I'm gonna come through and make a couple of passes. This is hard packed gravel that's been here for a long time. So you'll be able to see what it does going forward and coming backwards, and we'll show you what that gravel looks like. can see what that does. Come on back here. You take this super hard gravel, breaks it up, and you're putting it back in where it's nice and scoopable. I can make footprints in this, and it's going to go about 3 inches deep. You might have seen where the wheels stopped every once in a while, and I'm just going to say it doesn't matter if it's standard flow or it's high flow. Because of the way that's made, you have the little teeth sticking down, and that teeth is all that's touching the ground until such time as you push a little harder and the whole length of that roller is on the ground. If you put the whole length of that roller on the ground with a 12,000 pound machine and you push down too much, it's going to stop the wheel. No matter if it's high flow or if it's standard flow, that's just what's going to happen. The great thing about these standard flow machines is the conditioner that standard flow is, you can condition in both ways. If you ever get into something where you wrap some wire or some hay or some Johnson grass around that wheel, you can reverse the flow to help unspool that. In some cases you can unspool tall grass without getting out of the cab. Whereas with the high flow, you can only go one way.
No.
Okay, so you saw what it does in regular gravel. We're going to show you something else now. You can see this driveway right here. There's actually one pass that I made already. The driveway was pretty consistent and maintained on that side. However, there's an area here that was just fully grown over in grass. There was gravel underneath there, but really when you look at how this looks, you really can't see how much gravel versus mud versus what you have here. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the soil conditioner, we're going to use this in this kind of mixed area. We're going to turn this over and we'll see what it looks like when we're done. Okay, so you saw what happened there. We had this kind of material here at a shop that we bought. We didn't know how much gravel was down there, but once you start turning it over, you see that there's an awful lot, come on this way, man. There's an awful lot of gravel that's there, resident under that grass, that just hasn't been maintained, driven on, or this sprayed. So if you look forward here, how bad that looks and all the vegetation, you look back here and you see that you've got a lot more gravel than what you thought. Now it might be that we need to add some additional gravel, but this kind of reconditioning is really an unsung job or unsung hero for this little soil conditioner, because I'm telling you, you can make a lot of money doing this right here. One other thing I want to talk about, when you talk about gravel, ours is pretty consistent because we work it pretty often. However, when you have a normal driveway and you've got potholes that have formed over time, you can take a box blade and you can build up material and fill that in. It looks great. You can bring in gravel, you can fill it in. The thing is that when you fill that hole in, everything in that hole is already bonded together, and what you put on the top, even though it's the same material, won't bond. And so over time, it splashes out when you drive through. When it rains, it splashes out, and the pothole's in the same spot. Soil conditioner gives you the opportunity to break up that pothole around the sides, and when you break that up, you go back and forth and you can reform that same gravel without bringing more gravel in, and it'll set up much better than if you just fill it in. Okay, so you've seen what it does in regular gravel, like a gravel parking lot. You've seen what it does in kind of a mixed area where you have some old gravel and you've got vegetation growing. Now we're going to show you what it does in a big grassy virgin area. Hasn't been plowed, nothing's been done here. This is just an area, it usually grows hay. I mean, if you let it grow, it'll continue to grow. This was cut probably 3 days ago, about 3 inches high. So I'm going to say it's about 3¼ inches right now. And you can see at the grass type that there's various grasses here, but it's a pretty thick area. So I'm going to start by going backwards, and I'm just going to say that The taller your grass is, if you're going through an area like this, you may have to make a few passes if you want to get it to where the grass is completely turned over. The last application for these is if you have a construction site, a new house, pipeline, right-of-ways, anything like that where you have dirt that's been pushed. In that space, it works really, really well. You use it before you plant seeds or hydro seed or whatever you're going to do, and you're going to have a much better seed bed. So. Okay, so you can see what that does. Now, it's pretty dry right here. It hasn't rained for a few weeks, but if you look down here, you can pick up a good mass of that. That's what you're picking up and turning over. You can see that that would make pretty quickly a very, very good seed bed to the extent that you need to take this grass out. Or if you're gonna make this into a parking lot, you're gonna bring gravel in. You can do this, scrape all this up so that vegetation isn't underneath what you're gonna lay down. Does a great job. Again, I did stop the wheel by pushing just a little too hard. That's not a problem. Stopping the wheel is not a problem. It's really just a thing that you guys, operator, getting used to what you're doing and making sure that you do it right. Absolutely, come over here. Absolutely love this thing. So many uses. You can level gravel. You can recondition things. You can get things ready for planting. Very, very durable machine. 2-year warranty. Can't say enough good things about this Jenkins Soil Conditioner. Okay, so this will give you an update on where we are on this little project. This is about 20 minutes of soil conditioning on very, very, very hard gravel. You can see basically I've gotten most of the area that I want. That's 2 passes on each area. I'm going to come to the front of the machine. You can see where we have, I wetted this down just a tiny bit just to keep the dust down, but you can see all this hard stuff, and you can see where it's nice and fluffy. So what I'll do next, and I may video this, I may not, but what I'll do next is after I'm done, I'll come through with the bucket, push this all into piles, and I'll repurpose this stuff into another spot of the yard. And then again, do this a couple more times. Make sure I get enough depth so that I get the crushed asphalt level that I want. What's great about this is when you do it this way, again, you're gonna keep that grade, you're gonna keep the level that's already here, you're not gonna make more work for yourself. When you spread this stuff that you've soil conditioned, it goes down nice and easy. I'm gonna walk over here to this area where we went through what again I'll call the mixed area, where it looked like there wasn't really much gravel, but when we actually soil conditioned it, we saw there was quite a bit. And you can see that's a dramatic difference here. And so if I do that for this other area that's here, I'm expecting to find a reasonable amount of gravel. You can see this just kind of got some silt over it, but there's some rock here and there. I'm expecting to find a lot of this is really gravel that was here from previous owners, and I can just kind of turn that over, and what a savings that is. I'm going to tell you, if you're doing any kind of skid steer work, I know that it's easy to think about brush clearing, right-of-way clearing, and that kind of thing. A soil conditioner absolutely, positively is a wonderful way to make money. You can level, you can recondition driveways, you can take out potholes, you can make seed beds, you can make food plots for people. You can certainly get ready for planting. And in my mind, this piece of equipment, the Jenkins Iron and Steel Soil Conditioner, is absolutely positively the best one on the market for the money. Great people to work with, and just a great piece of equipment. One last thing here, there's an area here that I haven't quite gotten to yet. And you can see again, this is super, super hard. If I gave you a pickaxe and told you to dig a hole, you might do it for a little bit, but I think you'd quit pretty quick. So very, very soft, nice to work with. I'm gonna scrape that out in a little bit. Very, very soft, nice to work with, and you have this very, very hard strip here. Okay, so this is a video just showing as you're scraping up this material that you've soil conditioned, you've got a really, really hard base on the bottom where you've gone down to a very, very level spot. And as you see, as you come over here, this is the stuff I haven't scraped up yet, but you can see a significant difference. And again, what you're doing is you're stripping off that top layer and stripping it off in a uniform way to keep the grade. And as you push this up, you're just taking off a little at a time.